Okay, so now let's discuss in basic the different types of rock. Alright, there's 3 basic types of rock, and each of these will eventually get their own video, but I will, in this video, include a basic introduction to these 3 types. 3 types are, in no particular order, sedimentary, igneous, and metamorphic. Alright, and as I said, I'm going to give you a basic intro here, and then create a separate video of each one later on. Okay, let's start with igneous. Igneous rocks are those formed through processes of volcanism, as well as other similar tectonic activities. Pretty much anything that involves molten rock crystallizing and forming solid rock. Okay, now I say crystallizing from the molten form, and that's important to understand. If it goes from melted to solid, it's an igneous rock. Well, if there's that molten portion involved. If it remains a solid, it's not an igneous rock. Okay, important. All right, igneous rocks that either cool in the earth or partially cool in the earth have larger minerals in them. This is because the amount of time the rock has to cool when it's under the earth is still warm, and so the minerals have time to differentiate, and you can kind of group together all these quartz minerals will come together and stuff. Whereas when they come out of the volcano, they cool almost instantly, or, well, relatively, geologically, they cool instantly. And this means that the minerals don't have time to group together, and you just get one solid aggregate there. Right? It's just one mixture, and it's normally black or gray. Alright, and at different levels, I'll talk about that when I talk about igneous rocks later on. Alright, but when I'm saying these minerals have time to differentiate, in hand sample you can look at a sample of igneous rock that cooled in the earth, and you can see the individual minerals. Alright? Okay. Whereas you can't see them in hand sample in one that was an extrusive igneous rock. Okay? Alright, so some examples include granite, tuff, and basalt. Now there's plenty more, and as I said, when I go back and make a different video, I'll talk about all of these. Alright, igneous rocks are the rocks that underlie all of the continents, as well as form the ocean floor. Alright, now sitting on top of the ocean floor is obviously some sediments, but the basis of the ocean floor is these igneous rocks. Okay, moving on. Metamorphic rocks. Metamorphic rocks are either igneous, sedimentary, or even other metamorphic rocks that have undergone intense levels of heat and pressure, but not quite enough to actually melt the rock. Right? The heat and pressure cause the minerals in the rocks to recrystallize, to form in different ways, even sometimes form different minerals. And this often causes minerals to crystallize with like minerals, especially in a sediment. You'll get black stripes in there or stuff similar to that. Alright? Okay, so we'll talk about some examples. Marble, which is metamorphosed from limestone and dolomite, both having the same chemical composition, and therefore they're similar. They're different, but they're similar, and you can tell the difference in the actual marble, but we won't get into that. Slate, which is metamorphosed from shale, and quartzite, which is metamorphosed from quartz-rich sandstone. Now it's important that it's quartz-rich sandstone and not a different type of sandstone, but most sandstones are quartz-rich, but again, that's a different video. And finally, sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks are the rocks that are formed from the erosion of either chemical or physical of other rocks that then get deposited in lakes, streams, the ocean, and through other geologic processes lithify and become a solid rock. These rocks do not always show their minerals because most of the parts that make them up are rarely completely one type of mineral. As well, the minerals themselves do not have time to form, they're really small. In thin section you can identify them, but in hand sample you typically can't. It just is one rock of either different colors or the same color. Okay, it's normally one color throughout, and then when you look at it in thin section you can see the other rocks. Alright, some examples include sandstone. As I mentioned, this rock is typically rich in quartz, but it's not always quartz rich, typically though. Limestone and conglomerate. Alright, now the last thing I want to do in this video is I want to talk about the rock cycle. Okay, as you can see from this diagram I put up, every rock can become every other type of rock. And in this way, that rocks recycled throughout the world. Why we aren't out of rocks yet. That makes sense. Okay, so an example: sedimentary rocks can become igneous rocks by, the subducting plates. When one gets subducted under, some of the sediment on top goes down with the oceanic plate, melts while the plate's melting or before. Different video altogether. And therefore it's melted, therefore it's an igneous rock. Or when other igneous rocks intrude into an area, this can melt some of the surrounding rock, and this melting causes this rock to become part of that igneous rock. Alright, they can become metamorphic rocks due to getting close to this igneous intrusion, not quite close enough to actually melt it. It just gets really, really hot. Alright? Or they can get buried to the point that they get smashed, crushed. Very, very, well, a lot of pressure. Go with that. And this pressure causes them to change and become a metamorphic rock. Or they grind along, similar to what you see at San Andreas. Or they can, again, become sedimentary rocks via erosional processes, weathering processes, reburial, reconstitution, relithification, and they become a different type of sedimentary rock. It's interesting when you look at it that this cycle, all the rocks follow it, and they can all become all the different types. Igneous can become igneous again, or it can become metamorphic, or it can become sedimentary. And metamorphic can do the same thing. It can become a different type of metamorphic, or it can become sedimentary, or it can become igneous via the same general processes. Alright, so that does it for this video in particular. As I said, I will get back to more in-depth look at each of the different type of rocks. Each rock will have its own video. I will also do a video on minerals. And I'm going to apologize now for how long it's taking me to get this video out. Life gets in the way sometimes, and sometimes you just get lazy, and all the above. But I do enjoy you I do thank you for watching it. I noticed that I had subscribers. That actually caught me off guard. I hope to do more videos in the coming months as summer comes around. But don't hold your breath too much. Again, check out my blog if you're interested in my rants. They vary on a lot of topics, but I try to stick close to evolution and geology and stuff like that. Although occasionally I read something that just pisses me off and I gotta rant on it. And I welcome your comments there as well. Alright? Thanks for watching. This has been Hokemon 2008, and this has been Geology for Idiots.